In the second year of the Clone Wars, the Republic aims to capture the strategically important planet of Umbara, and moves in to secure it. Defending the capital is the 31st Umbaran Combined Arms Brigade of the 5th Army Infantry Corps. This brigade is composed of 3 infantry and 1 armored battalion. Tasked with this invasion is the 212th Attack Battalion, moving in from the south, and a battalion of the 501st, moving in from the north, in a double pincer maneuver. As the battle opens up, the 212th pushes north through heavy Umbaran resistance, and the 501st makes planetfall. Pushing through intense flak, the LAATs of the 501st make their way to the surface and begin the attack by dropping off their AT-RTs in order to clear the landing site. Once the Umbaran forward positions are overrun, the gunships circle round to drop off the infantry. The Umbarans have entrenched themselves on a nearby ridge and await the next attack. The 501st drops 4 infantry companies inside the landing zone, and they begin pushing south as they come under heavy fire from Umbaran infantry and mobile batteries from the ridge. The 13th Recon are the first on the ridge, followed closely by the 332nd and 333rd Company that begin clearing out Umbaran dugouts and trench lines. The Umbarans put up a stiff resistance but are soon overwhelmed by the sheer momentum of the Republic assault. With the ridge now under control, the 501st consolidates its position and prepares to move out to support the other battalion. Unknown to them, the Umbarans have regrouped and are preparing an ambush from behind. The troops of the 501st are caught completely off guard, but are able to mount a swift defense and keep the line stable. Thinking quickly, Captain Rex calls an airstrike on the ridge and pulls off the units in order to clear the blast zone. One by one, the platoons start disengaging the enemy and quickly move off the ridge in a controlled withdrawal. Once the last units made it off the ridge, a pair of Y-wings fly overhead and make an accurate bombing run, dispersing any Umbarans left. The men of the 501st now regroup and prepare to march south towards the capital. But before then, their commanding officer, General Anakin Skywalker, is unexpectedly recalled to Coruscant by orders of the Supreme Chancellor and is replaced by General Pong Krell. On the southern front, the 212th is fighting through the industrial zones of the capital district. They have been able to make incremental progress, but have encountered heavy Umbaran resistance, and are counting on the 501st to attack from the north. Luckily for them, the 501st has completed its redeployment, and its companies are poised to strike the Umbaran capital. After 12 hours of forced marching, the 501st arrives at the major road leading to the capital. At this crucial moment, General Pong Krell decides against any surgical strikes on the capital, and instead opts for a full frontal attack. Captain Rex has no choice but to follow through with the risky plan, and puts together a sizable force to meet the enemy. The column moves south along the main road before they are stopped by mines, and are forced to move carefully. At that moment they are ambushed and hit on all sides by the Umbarans. Casualties mount as the 501st is hard pressed by both Umbaran infantry and artillery. The clones fight hard, but the situation is desperate, and Captain Rex orders a retreat to force the Umbarans into a chase. The platoons break out of the encirclement and conduct a fighting withdrawal back to friendly lines. General Pong Krell calls in his reserve to support Rex's retreat, and the Umbarans' advance is checked. Both sides regroup, but as Captain Rex and General Pong Krell argue over strategy, the Umbarans have brought up their heavy artillery and are preparing to attack. a renewed attack is devastating for the 501st, and they begin to yield ground. While the northern attack is thrown back by the Umbarans, fighting intensifies in the south as the 212th approaches the capital. In heavy fighting, the 212th fights its way to the capital, but find it too well fortified for a direct assault, and instead blockade it. Unfortunately for them, Republic intelligence has found a nearby airbase that is resupplying the capital, and that must be destroyed. This mission goes to the men of the 501st, and they begin disengaging the enemy as the Umbarans move south to fight the 212th. Captain Rex deploys his men in the central gorge in preparation for a full-scale assault. He had hoped to perform more reconnaissance first, but General Krell refused, as time was of the essence. The plan is briefed to the platoons, but an argument breaks out over the risks involved. The men have not forgotten Krell's disastrous advance towards the capital. Nevertheless, Captain Rex is determined to push on and divides his force into two axes of attack: 331st Company on the left, 332nd on the right, and 13th Recon in front. The battalion's only full-strength company left at 334th is in reserve, while the 333rd Company defends the gorge entrance. The platoons advance through the foliage in loose columns, unaware that the enemy armored units are poised to ambush them. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake as Umbaran assault tanks from the 78th Armored Regiment breach the soil beneath them and attack the Republic troops. Rex's column swings north to help, and brings in rocket launchers to deal with the heavily shielded Umbaran assault tanks. Corporal Hardcase takes aim at one of the Umbaran tanks and scores a direct hit, knocking it out of action. In the chaos, Captain Rex takes command of the situation and moves the remaining platoons out of the open and through the dense foliage to break away from the enemy. As the assault tanks make their way around, Captain Rex takes advantage of the situation to place detonators along the corridor, falls back so the enemy follows them. The Umbarans take the bait, and the assault tanks are destroyed in the trap. Rex inspects the destroyed Umbaran vehicles before reorganizing his platoons into a wedge formation and continue marching on the airfield. The columns push on towards the airbase. They soon come face to face with a squadron of Umbaran mobile heavy tanks and must quickly take cover. Captain Rex's requests for more reinforcements are denied, as General Krell demands that the attack is carried out. Back at the 501st headquarters, the 333rd Company has returned in support after routing the Umbaran rear guard, but they are held back at the entrance to the gorge on General Krell's orders. Having no other choice, Rex must lead his men against the Umbaran heavy tanks, but disaster strikes as two Umbaran tanks catch two platoons in the open and decimates them. The clones regroup and begin conducting hit-and-run attacks against the heavily armored Umbaran tanks. The Umbaran heavy armor proves too formidable for the Republic's portable rocket launchers, as clone casualties start to mount. The Republic troops begin to fall back as the Umbaran heavy tanks chase them deeper into the jungle. Captain Rex understands that he needs to find another way in order to save his men from destruction, and orders two clones, Corporal Hardcase and Archtrooper 5s, to conduct a stealth incursion into the enemy airbase while the rest keep the enemy occupied. As the tanks continue to chase the clones deeper into the jungle, the 4th Recon Platoon baits the enemy into following them down a narrow path where the 501st has set up an ambush and attacks the Umbarans from all sides. Unfortunately for the clones, the Umbaran heavy armor is too powerful, and they begin to rout the remaining 501st platoons. In desperation, Captain Rex fires off his last remaining rockets at the tanks, managing to disable one of its main guns. This draws the attention of the other tanks that soon surround him. and all hope seems lost until 2 Umbaran starfighters emerge, piloted by Corporal Hardcase and ARC Trooper 5s. The men of the 501st cheer as the fighters systematically destroy all 4 Umbaran tanks. With the Umbaran tanks destroyed, the path to the airfield is open, and General Krell sends the 333rd Company forward to capture it. With this impressive victory, the 501st has managed to cut off one of the capital's last remaining supply routes, as the 212th tightens its grip on the siege. With the airbase under Republic control, the Umbaran capital loses one of its last remaining supply routes. Although the Separatists managed to continue supplying the capital through the contested airspace, the supply ship was inexplicably destroyed during one of these supply runs, possibly from friendly fire. In the following days, the 212th is able to capture the Umbaran capital and rout any remaining Umbaran holdouts, although a friendly fire incident occurs between the 501st and 212th units, each having mistaken each other for an Umbaran infiltration attempt. According to the newest archives, General Pon Krell is also killed during these last few days of Umbaran resistance. Although the circumstances surrounding his death are unclear, he was most likely killed during one of these Umbaran infiltrations. The Battle of Umbara concludes as one of the most costly battles fought by the Republic, and could only have been won if not for the steadfast courage of the men of the 501st and 212th and their Jedi commanders. The swift takeover of Umbara allowed the Republic to quickly relocate 2 of its best battalions to fight in other sectors, and was one of the pivotal battles of the later years of the Clone Wars. Alright everyone, thank you for watching the video. Leave a comment if you have any ideas for other fictional battles I could take a look at. I have a few things in the work, so if you want to see more, like and subscribe, and enjoy the rest of these photos. Thank you.